All righty, good Saturday to you. Thanks for finding us here at Fox 26. I'm meteorologist John Dawson. Like to have our tropical update where we can kind of expand a little more than what we can do in a TV newscast, sort of dive into what's happening out there, kind of bring you up to date on that. And again, YouTube is a fantastic way. If you're not watching us on YouTube right now, make sure you check there regularly. Every day of hurricane season, we'll be updating you. Of course, also Fox Local and Fox26Houston.com is a great way. But we know a lot of folks internationally are checking in with our updates here on YouTube. And that's why I mentioned that, because if you're outside the United States, you can't always access us otherwise, but I know YouTube's a favorite, so glad you're checking in. So most of the Atlantic is pretty quiet. A lot of our folks that we know are looking at us internationally or in the Caribbean. You folks are also looking in good shape. So if you're in the Caribbean, just for fun, drop me a comment there below on YouTube. Let me know where you are. I'll sort of check back in and look at those. But I know anywhere from the outer reaches of the Caribbean here, almost into the Atlantic, back towards Jamaica and into some of the areas that part of Mexico as well, are also some folks that like to sort of check in with us. But it is the folks in the United States that are going to be a little bit more concerned with where we need to watch right now because of some potential tropical activity. And our yellow shading here represented, this is of course a product from the National Hurricane Center, and they're painting a pretty broad brush here because at this point we're several days away from anything potentially happening. We would probably say is the earliest that I would expect something to happen would be on Wednesday. So for the next 2 days, that's why the National Hurricane Center is saying there's a 0% chance. And I never really like to say 0% chance, but very, very low chance that anything would form here in this yellow shaded area. But beyond that 3 to 7 day range, we are looking at a 20% chance that something could happen. And this is one of those classic scenarios where we know there's going to be some disturbed activity, possibly some showers and some thunderstorms. Whether or not they get organized enough to become a tropical system, that's where we're just a little unclear. But if you are in the peninsula of Florida, especially, let's just sort of say centralized here like Tampa, then yes, you're going to want to pay very close attention. So when we look at our Fox model, you're going to see that things are quiet for the next several days. Overall, nothing organized. But once we get into that closer to that Wednesday time frame, you notice I've got a little low pressure system that I drew in here for us. So this is the end of the day on Wednesday. It starts off as a very broad area of low pressure. So if you look at our wind arrows here, you can see how this is a really large area. I added in the low pressure system here just to kind of give us a ballpark, an idea of what could be developing. Again, I drew this in. The rest of this is computer modeled here, kind of showing you that there's all the showers and the storms. That's going to be happening. Something will be happening like this. But then as we kind of move a little further with time, the uncertainties are certainly going to be there as far as how organized, if it is a tropical system or not. Switching over to another one of our computer models, you'll be able to see that definitely look at all these showers and storms that are going to be forming as we get, it's again fairly unorganized into Monday, Tuesday, and then when we get into Wednesday, same sort of scenario where we're looking at some showers and storms that could be tropically related once we kind of get into things a little bit more. So just as a reminder, kind of where we are in the season, we have been relatively quiet, pretty seasonally normal when you look at the bigger picture, but within the last 10 years, I would say it's certainly been quiet just because in the last 10 years, we've been seeing a storm or two before we even get out of the month of June, sometimes even before June starts. But here we are beginning to get towards the middle of July, and we're about to see things ramp up a little bit if they follow kind of that history of what we've seen all the way back to the 1850s. Here's what we've done so far. Again, most of these have been short-lived storms, and as themselves making landfalls, these tropical storms haven't done a whole lot. We can make the argument certainly that Barry did have some problems that it caused because it was certainly related to that Texas Hill Country flooding that was such a devastation about a week ago. But as a tropical system, didn't really do memorable damages for the record books or anything. If you were in the coast of Mexico or the Carolinas where Chantal made its landfall, you probably want to disagree with me there. Certainly making some impacts, but I don't expect these names to necessarily be retired or anything along those lines. We'll continue to keep an eye on things. We're looking for that D-named storm to be next. We'll always keep you updated, as I mentioned, every day of hurricane season. I'm back here tomorrow. That's Sunday, the end of the weekend. I'll expect to see you then.